Alright, can you hear me now?
Lower.
Is his internet still causing problems?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've just started recording as a video rather than the internet, and hopefully that might work.
Oh, okay.
Because like, what's the point if I can't actually be heard or seen by anyone when I'm just talking to myself?
I would just record it as a video and then upload it later.
Yeah, that's what I
Yeah.
was thinking. I'd
Trying to keep it more
probably
concise video.
get you to help me go through all of this stuff to change the output later.
To be fair, I think it's literally just your internet is not wide enough at the moment.
Yeah. Well, I kind
Based
of
on it was struggling to do Discord.
yeah. Oh, in general,
Discord's
yeah,
not that heavy.
yeah,
OBS is really heavy.
yeah. Oh, yeah. It
But
worked.
basically, the higher the definition you want to output, the more
Hmm.
it's going to use.
Yeah. Um. So now that I have it somewhat working in that it's a video rather than a live stream. Hello. Welcome to the Coffee with an Archaeologist. I am James, aka Cool Cross, and I will be your archaeologist for the time being. Hopefully, in future episodes, there may be other archaeologists, but for now, you're stuck with me. How are you guys
Also,
doing?
disclaimer,
Yeah?
this video is not suitable for children.
Oh yes, this is not for
Neither
kids.
is this channel.
Yeah, despite me having already done the little thingy you're supposed to do.
It prompts every single video, but
Yeah. It keeps asking me to redo it.
yeah, you just ignore it. It's if you've got it set to default to no,
Mm-hmm.
it'd be fine. It's gonna be difficult because YouTube, they've got to make sure that they can't be accused of not doing it, basically.
Yeah.
Because I don't want someone going, "Ow,
Just like a sick cat or something.
So what archaeology are we going to be learning today?
Well, I'm just going to turn you up a bit because I had brought it down really low and I'm not sure what it sounds like because I can't, check and do it at the same time. So I'm just going to make you slightly louder and hopefully you're not louder than me. So today we can talk about, I wonder if I share my screen on Discord, then at least you can see what I'm talking about as well.
Yeah, I can see
Um,
it.
Yeah, I'm at work still, so...
Go live. I'll show you the Discord screen. Go live. So at least you can kind of see what's on my desktop, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Because I really don't know how
You
else.
are apparently not actually live yet.
Oh, it's not live. It's the video.
Okay, well I heard the noise, but it's not.
It's not
Like-
showing you anything.
No.
Ah. Oh, hang on. You're right. I just seen that. Why is that? Go live. There we go. It should be working now.
Cool.
There you go. So yeah, unfortunately none of that worked. But I guess we can talk about Stonehenge. I mean, Mount
Well, that's that
Rushmore.
one with the four
Mount
presidents
Rushmore.
carved on it in.
Yeah,
Is it North Dakota or South Dakota?
that's
North Dakota
North Dakota, I think.
in the U.S.
Yeah. But yeah, why are we talking about Mount Rushmore and Stonehenge? Because it's like a meme between like
Because there's an idiot who thought that Mount Rushmore was Stonehenge, not knowing that they're in two different countries and two different things.
yeah. But yeah, someone on the server that we've been hanging out on has completely mixed up the two monuments, and currently displayed for Ash's benefit is a picture of Stonehenge.
What do you mean for my benefit? I know what Stonehenge
No,
looks like.
you can't see what we're showing, so I'm just saying it. I'm also seeing your man in the chat, in the general chat,
I saw that as well.
talking about something, but I'm just gonna ignore him. But yeah, so Stonehenge is a what would you call it? A Neolithic?
It's
Um,
well, Neolithic is what, new stone.
Yeah, New Stone Age.
So it's
the
new Stone Age,
Yeah, so
and it's basically like a big calendar.
yeah, it is.
At least, well, that's the easiest thing to go because it is definitely a calendar.
Well, that's the standing stones. Most, I guess most people who are not archaeologists don't realize is Stonehenge is not actually the standing stones. Stonehenge is actually like the green earthwork around it. Yeah. So,
As an archaeologist, can you explain where it came from? How it got there?
where Stonehenge came
Well,
from?
it's Salisbury Plain.
Yeah.
Not Stonehenge. Well, like,
It's-
isn't that one of like the what is it? Like
Got-
the Eastern Island heads, like how they got there and how Stonehenge got there? Like, aren't those still?
Oh, there's loads of
Like-
different theories. I know I had seen a video sometime ago, I think it was on Facebook, of a guy who, while he was retired and bored, and I think he used to work in a quarry, had a bunch of giant stone blocks,
Yeah.
and it was his hobby to just casually make stone circles on his own, just using like big bits of wood.
Yeah.
It's quite impressive.
I remember seeing.
So in theory, one person could assemble that if they were very, very bored and had all the stone already.
Yeah, there's a guy in, I think it could be Texas, who makes Mesolithic monuments out of concrete that he's cast himself. And he moves them around and assembles them by himself. That might be what you're talking about.
Might be that one.
Yeah.
Maybe.
He's like this mad guy who's just like absolute mad lad who's like building Mesolithic monuments on his back garden.
Because he can.
Yeah. I'm watching my levels here in the bottom corner there, at the very bottom. My mic is peaking a lot, so I'm wondering why is that.
I does that.
Oh, I'll just ignore it then.
Yeah, it shouldn't be an issue.
We did
At least no one's told me it's an issue, at least.
when we were doing like sound work and stuff when I did film school, we used to always have that constantly at 20, like minus 20, so that it wouldn't peak too much. But I'm breaking my rule by allowing it to go above it. Like 20 was
So
always the
for
max.
Rattling sounds, I'm doing
Yeah.
excitive, like, airfix kits.
Alright, that's cool. I've been working on miniatures and stuff. I have a little lizard man next to me here.
Oh, cool.
And if I open up the little drawer here, I have a Irish kern that I was going to use for D&D as like bandits.
Opposed to a cairn,
Yeah, a cairn.
which is a collection of stones
Yeah, it's
to bury someone and stop, like, carrying animals, digging them up,
yeah,
if I'm not mistaken.
it's like a burial site. But yeah, I had a load of pictures and stuff to show of like excavations I visited and stuff. One of them was a cairn, but I'm probably not going to do that now because it might get all weird on me if I continue to swap things around constantly.
Well, what was the main topic for today?
Well, we're going to talk about Stonehenge at first, and then the backup topic was molded sites, and then I was going to like allow the people in the chat to ask me questions about archaeology, but I'm not sure.
That's going to be difficult without a chat.
Yeah. So Yeah, it might be a short one because everything went to shit on me.
Well, you've told them your name. How long have you been an archaeologist?
How long have I been an archaeologist? I finished my degree 2 years ago, so you could say I'm technically have a higher diploma in archaeology since who knew what year is on my thesis? 2017. I have above me. I have a copy of the cover of my thesis. So if I'm it's like a thing to remind me of achievements I have above me above my desk. So I have my two theses from pages, and then like photocopies of diplomas and stuff to remind me.
Sounds good.
Yeah, to stop doing it because the wall can't fit anymore.
And I guess this is just more of an introduction to you. What is the coolest thing you've archaeologied, excavated? I can't think of the word.
Well, I am the kind of co-founder of a specific type of it's like a stone stairs. It's kind of carved into bedrock, and there's only been 2 of them found, and we found the second one of them. They've been found.
Sir, I've played Minecraft. You can't dig into bedrock. That's not possible. Sorry.
But yeah,
what about the Giant's Causeway?
How we found it was I guess a bit of an interesting story, because we were just wandering around. I think it was in a field next to Cahermacnaughton, which is it's like a place in the Burn. I was just talking to I don't know, should I name him? I guess I can, because it's like a specifically archaeology stream.
Yeah, it's not like you're doxing them, you're just
Yeah.
professionally referencing them.
Yeah, I guess so.
Just remember to list like where he lives, how old he is, his mother's name, you know.
No.
So myself and Joe Fenwick were walking through the bog in this area in the Burn, and I just turned to him and said, "Boher," which is the Irish word for road or pathway. And he looked at me and he was like, "What?" And I just said, like, "Where the cow goes," which is the literal translation of Boher. So bow meaning cow. So it's like a cow path basically. So I just turned to him and I said, "Boher," and I pointed to the ground, and there's like all these cow tracks. And we were just like, why don't we follow those and see where they go? And as we follow them through like a bunch of briars and thorny bushes and whatnot, we eventually figured out that the cows were using this stairs that was cut out of the bedrock up onto a higher level of the karst landscape. So we ended up having to catalogue that, and that was the second ever one of those found. The first one was on the same site but further down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Ancient archaeology used by cows.
Yeah, we used cows to find it. Well, it occurred to me because at that Cahir that I mentioned earlier, when we were trying to come down from the mountain, we got lost. We lost the path as we're coming down this steep mountain in the Burn, so it's like fucking dangerous. But it occurred to me to follow the goat tracks, like the goat's path, the goat's path. So yeah, it actually led us safely down. So it was like, when we were in the Burn, I was like, why don't we follow the cow tracks and see where they go? But yeah, when in rough terrain, follow the animals. They know the way.
I mean, that's what I did in Tomb Raider, and you know, Laura Croft seems to be a pretty good archaeologist. She's not no Nathan Drake, but you know.
I've never.
Is he an archaeologist?
I've never experienced
Did he
Nathan
find-
Drake. Like I've never
It's
played.
like Boy Tomb Raider.
Yeah. So it's just like the knockoff, a knockoff version.
I honestly, in some cases, think it's better because you do a lot more. Like, but he's more of a thief.
Mm-hmm.
She's more of a.
Oh no. I think we've lost connection again.
But she just happens to leave while carrying them.
She discovers them.
That's why she knows where they are.
Yeah, I am. Tomb Raider is actually one of the things that got me interested in archaeology. Like for most archaeologists, it's Indiana Jones. For me, it was Tomb Raider. But yeah.
Is archaeology like a science? So I was going to say for science, but I don't imagine archaeology is a form of science.
That's actually an interesting question because it is. It's kind of catalogued under humanities, so it'll be similar to social science as well. But
it's technically like applied science and history as opposed to, more, I guess, readily definable stuff. It's not like it's, you can work out an exact thing if you go, this is this, therefore it must be this thing, because history is inconvenient like that.
Exactly.
Like that thing of, we found this ancient street that is, still in use because it works.
I'm not sure if it's
cowpath.
I'm not sure exactly. I'm not sure if it's the same in Britain, but I know in America, archaeology is a subfield of anthropology, whereas in Ireland, anthropology is a separate field of itself, or a subfield of archaeology. But I'm not sure what it is in Britain or in the UK.
I don't know. I lived with people who were archaeology students, but they never really talked about what they were doing.
Yeah. Drinking is what they were doing.
Eating pizza, allegedly doing cocaine, the usual.
Oh.
Well, that was what I got told by some of the other students. Is the one university has a problem with weed, the other one has a problem with cocaine.
Yeah.
Because the cocaine university is somewhere all the posh kids go.
You heard the joke.
I went to the YDIONA.
You heard the joke that Saki said. You never date an archaeologist. You know why? They're always trying to dig up history. But that was my lame joke for your video.
Oh, that works.
I try not to make more.
Oh, it works. Yeah.
So you specialize in just Irish archaeology, or is that all you studied, or is that what you decided to specialize in?
Well, I've mostly studied Irish, but I've done like some other stuff as well. But I've kind of specialized in medieval, so it's historical archaeology, but specifically the medieval period. But even more specifically, the high medieval period, which is sometime between 11 and 1300. So, so it's like the later medieval period. So it's like a transition between high and late medieval.
So it's sort of near a Renaissance time.
Before all of the plate comes in, basically.
Yeah, just it's all. So it's before the 15th century when everything is really kind of starting to become industrialized, sort of thing.
Yeah, so they're experimenting with plate, but it's not quite there yet.
So you got stuff like brigandines and such.
Actually, a friend of mine and I were working on Visby type 2s or 5s, I can't remember. But
I've heard of those from the Lindy Beige and the Scholar Gladiatoria.
Yeah.
And the Scalagrim.
Yeah, they're really good, and shad as well. It was actually that's why we were discussing. It was actually part of the conversation that gave me the idea for doing this show. Was we were discussing archaeology, and then it came up the modded sites, which I have a thing for that, because the rectangular modded sites is a classification, like a sub-classification of like castle. Well, it can be because it's like a wealthy peasant's farmstead. Technically, the church also owns some as well. In that case, I think they're referred to more so as granges, and the native Irish also use them.
Yeah, that'll
Hmm.
that'll be the word that I would be more familiar with.
Probably. I'd say it'd be more so that over in the UK, because there's a couple of these in the UK, but there's more of them in Ireland. I
Sake
think.
of it.
Oh no, I'm cut out. What'd you say?
I've heard of Grangers. There's an entire class of steam locomotive named after them,
Ah,
as there were for many similar things,
yeah.
like castles, counties, granges, kings, halls,
Yeah.
all those kind of things. I'm very exciting, I'm sure you can tell. But these things do continue on in, like, for want of a better word, pop culture.
Yeah.
It's like how many things have been named after, like, racehorses or ships
Yeah.
or things, and how many of them are named after previous ones. Like, I'm trying to remember how many different locomotives and stuff I've seen with the same names, because they keep getting called the same thing. So, these words continue on in usage. And yeah, Grange. I'm like, yeah, should have thought of that one.
Yeah. So what is it? It's well, they're obviously not called rectangular molded sites. It's just we're not sure what to call them, because they're just farms. So.
Basically, little fortified farm, essentially?
It's basically a fortified farm, yeah. It's like a little palisade around like a rectangular frame. As to why they're rectangular, no idea. They just are.
Convenience, probably.
Yeah. I have some later stuff
Autism,
about
OCD, something like that.
Yeah, just.
I guess for anyone who's like a Game of Thrones fan,
Yeah.
technically Craster's Keep is one of these things.
All right. Didn't know that.
Because he has he only has an earthen dike though, because it gets very cold up in the haunted forest
Yeah.
of Westeros, and therefore a moat doesn't really work if you can just walk across it.
Yeah. Palace
Anyway,
Castle.
I'm derailing.
Palace Castle outside Portumna. It's near me. It's
Sorry for the noises.
It was one of these before it became a 15th century castle. So they built that on top of one of these. So there's two names for these that we know of, which one is Grange and the other one is a palace, which is or a paloche, which is different from the English word palace. It's more the kind of native Irish kind of chieftains.
Although I'd imagine that the anglicized version of palace is probably an evolution of that, rather than
Could be.
just a similar word, because what is the king's palace other than a fortified position most of the time?
Well, it's more so his mead hall kind of thing.
Yeah.
There's a ballad of, I think it's Aid O'Connor, but I couldn't tell you which one because there's 20 of them at live at the same time with the same name. So I might have to defer to my former supervisor on identifying which one, because there's so many of them. They're all like cousins and they all hate each other. So you can imagine reading Irish history in annals and stuff. It's a lot of people with the same name all hating each other, trying to kill each other, and it's like, who is who?
How many Patricks are there in
That
your Irish history books?
that is a good question, because I'm not familiar of any other than Pádraig, Saint Patrick. But yeah, I don't know of any medieval Patricks.
I don't imagine it would be a very medieval name. Oh, who are you? I'm Sir Patrick.
Yeah. Then again, it could be a regional thing.
Yeah.
Because in kind of Galway and Connacht, where I'm from, a lot of the O'Connors are named Aid, and I mispronounced this name once as Turbellach, but it's actually Turlock, which is also the name of a geographical feature, which is like a kind of a large puddle. But so there's Turlock O'Connor, which is a big name. Actually, my grandmother's mother's side of the family is named Corley, which comes from, I believe, Turlock O'Connor's son, also named Turlock, whose nickname was called Curly Hair, like Curly O'Connor, basically, which became Corley because it anglicised weirdly.
Corley. Yeah.
Yeah. So his
Someone's
name
probably heard someone in Irish and has done the classic, misunderstanding for either comic effect or otherwise.
Yeah.
Or just because, my racism.
And the fort that would have been near me here in Galway, what's the name of it? It's a type of Coshlan. So the name of it was Coshlan Bonagaliv. So the kind of like stronghold or like kind of military fort at the mouth of the River Galway. And one of the interesting things about Galway is no one really knows where the name Galway comes from. Like there's all these legends that it could be named after Princess Galway who fell into the River Clare and drowned, or it could be named after the river itself, which was shallow and stony. One of the ideas I've been kind of toying with is maybe it's Galiv, as in like the place where the foreigners are, but more so.
Yeah, cool.
One of the things I'm actually toying with right now that I want to look into a bit more is it like the foreigners' river crossing?
Like the thing of where the people who aren't around here cross the river.
Like they're
like, they think that's the ford. Haha, look at them. We've got a bridge like a mile upstream, sort of thing.
Well, there is a bridge, and usually where there's bridges in medieval times, there's also would have been a ford before that. So I reckon that where the bridge is used to be the ford point, and because there's a town next to it, is this the river crossing that the foreigners are defending? And that's where the name comes from. So I'm kind of toying with that idea at the moment, but I could be completely wrong, because I was last summer I was working on a project where because my thesis was on Eyre Square, which is like the local town square, and trying to figure out why it's called that, why it ended up there, and all that kind of thing. And in working on that, I discovered that there's 42 human remains that were discovered there, and my thesis was cataloguing that. So while doing that, I noticed a specific number of the human remains were carbon dated to the same time period, and I was looking for last summer, can I find a migration of people that would have made sense for them to end up in Galway. And one of the things that I had been working with, supposed to be working with a colleague on it, but it didn't actually work out that way in the end. One of the things she suggested was, because I came across, I think in Lancashire, the Jews were expelled in 1320, and I was wondering, could they have ended up in Galway? And I spent about an entire day looking into this until it occurred to me, wait a minute, they're Christian burials. So I wasted literally an entire day on that one, and then I realised, I don't think I can actually prove this without isotope analysis on the bones to figure out where they originated. But yeah. Of the skeletons, one of the most interesting was one of them was skeleton 16, which in my thesis, I refer to a bit as similar to the Mary Rose Archer.
Mm-hmm.
Except I reckon he must have been obviously on board a cog, because that type of ship is popular in the 1350s period, more so in the is it the Hansac League? I'm trying to remember. Gwen's not here for me to ask about Scandinavian questions, but there's a big trade kind of union that ended up trading a lot, I know, with England, and probably made it as far as Galway. And I used a photo of a German ship a lot. I forget the name of it, but the coat of arms of Galway itself is actually a cog, though most people assume it's a hooker, which is a type of ship. But it's often mistaken as a hooker, but it's actually a cog. Yeah. A later one is actually a galleon with Henry VIII's arms on it, but that one's often forgotten.
Can't imagine why.
Yeah. But yeah, I equated him to be similar to Mary Rose Archer because he has a lot of like wear things in his bones, in his shoulder, particularly his scapulas, that will suggest that he's an archer, like the Mary Rose Archer. He also suggests that he's lifting a lot of heavy stuff. So I'm like, he's probably a ship's archer, because when you're not, like...
When you're not arching, you were shipping.
Yeah, like you're probably lifting crates and stuff, you're like helping, because you're not just there to look good. You're there to work and occasionally do the pew pew and loose a few arrows at anyone that's trying to mess with your boat.
Probably the English.
I'm pretty sure that he's probably...
Could someone maybe unmute only? Sorry for interrupting.
Oh.
No worries.
Whatever he says, don't listen.
Don't,
Oh, no.
guys, y'all are interrupting his video. I'm so sorry.
No, they're welcome to jump in.
Yeah, but to like be constructive, not to...
They're just dabbing on only. Them. They're dabbing on only in the general, is it?
That's fine.
That's
I'm
fine.
going to leave him server muted because this is irrelevant to what we're talking about.
Yeah.
So, ship's archers.
So I reckon he might be a ship's archer, because... Oh yeah, no, what was I saying? I was saying that I'm pretty sure he's probably either English, or I think it might be more likely that he might be Flemish, or what's that area of northern France? Brittany? Britannic?
Brittany.
You know what I mean? Like somewhere from Normandy-ish. So he could be like French, Britannic, or he could be Flemish. Like, you need isotope analysis to tell, but I assume like he's not native Irish. Like if he's working in the town, he's not native Irish.
I apologize for that interruption.
No, it's
People
fine.
have been scolded for that.
Well, it makes my thing more interesting because it didn't work for
I
a while.
only wanted to join and had a very stupid question to ask you. Trust me, you're glad that he can't join this.
I'm actually genuinely curious as to what his question was.
He wants to know if you could teach him how to fuck a velociraptor.
You have to ask a paleontologist.
Yeah, he's not the smartest of boys.
Yeah, that's fine. But what was I saying? But yeah, so I guess I could talk about why those skeletons were interesting. So I talked about skeleton 16, which is the archer. Archer inverted commas, because he might not be. He might just be a sailor, or even just
the assumed archer.
Yeah,
based on logical.
Yeah. Then there's a female who's called skeleton 20A. Like, I would like to give these people nicknames, but I think it probably would be inappropriate because I had to read a lot of the material on dealing with human remains, and I think that's one of the rules. But,
yeah, it's the whole respect for the dead type thing.
Yeah. But
You can give them, useful descriptive names, but calling, the guy with the really big skeleton Big Chungus probably goes against that.
yeah, like I really wanted to like the last part of my thesis. I made like at the end of my conclusion, I make the point that I really want to humanize these people and give them faces again, and I suggested that it would be a good museum exhibition. Making a dig at I better not get his name wrong, so I might move on from that. That the director of my local museum.
Oh, okay.
I know his first name. I can't remember his second name. So we'll move on from that. But yeah, so one of the other interesting ones was Skeleton 20, who is a female. She was in her early 20s when she died, and she had an unusual oblong shape, indentation, like she'd been hit in the head with a hammer or something, like whacked in the face with a hammer. But she survived and lived for quite a while after. So I reckon
You
that
can see the bone healing and stuff.
yeah. So I reckon she must have been like a native, like maybe a native Irish woman who, because she was young, decided to try and move to the town and make a better life for herself there. Whether that's marry one of the foreigners and get involved with making a family there and becoming one of the foreigners and making an existence for herself that's better than living in somewhere in rural Ireland where it's constantly being attacked and raided, mostly by the locals. Probably, let's be honest there, it's probably not the English in that context. It could be, a small chance it could be, but I reckon it must have been probably more so locals. And then because around the time she is alive and that mark in her forehead, I was looking through the annals of Connacht and found like a number of famines and wars have been happening during that time. So it's like a very kind of like lots of turmoil going on at the time. Basically, Game of Thrones without any of the outside parties interfering.
It's literally it's Game of Thrones pre Aegon's conquest when it's just the Seven Kingdoms constantly kicking the shit out of each other.
Exactly.
For no other reason than because they can.
Yeah. So
and land, cattle, bitches.
So there's lots of like stuff going on with just everyone infighting, and then suddenly these guys turn up, and I reckoned because these guys are there, they seem to have a good like situation going on. She's probably like, "Hey, it might work better for me to be over there with those guys," and ended up dying due to I think it was possibly. She had a perforation in the back of her head, so it's either an arrow or the spike on like a warhammer.
Ugh.
So I reckon.
So not peacefully dying in her bed at the age of 97.
No, she died young, as most people did in that time, especially on the frontier. Connacht would be considered a frontier. For context. So what was I saying? She basically around the 1240 time, Galway is attacked by the native Irish, and it's the reason why the city walls were built later. The constant attacks didn't help, but there was a really big one, a big raid.
Investment after a while, yeah.
Yeah, there was a big raid that. Like, it was noted in the annals, if you know what I mean, so it was important. It was seen as important that this happened. And I reckon that these people date to around 1250-ish. So I'm off by 5 years, basically, because it's 1245. So, like, because the carbon-14 dating are... Because I had to learn to read the arcs to try and guess the dates. and they're not always entirely accurate, especially if it's more recent. Like, it's easier to get a date for an older thing, like Bronze Age or I don't know, Neolithic, with the carbon-14 kind of.
Because it's the whole thing of the further back it goes, the generally more precise it can be, because it's.
You're verbalizing this better than I am. But
yes, I remember doing it at school years ago. It's basically, think of it as a if you've got like a funnel, and the funnel, as it goes up, it gets tighter and tighter, and that's basically how the carbon dating accuracy improves.
That's a good description, actually.
Because the half-lives are known, which is why you can use carbon-14, but the half-life is big. So if you're going, was this 50 years ago or 70 years ago, that's more difficult than was this 300 or 400 years ago.
Yeah. All right.
I think that's the...
No, that's a much better way of describing it. But yeah,
I'm good at talking a lot. You'll have to tell me if it's too much.
No, it's perfect, because I'm still learning how to do this. So, like, I'm pausing a lot because I'm losing track of my point. Because I'm not, I can do it in person.
Onto every single hanging sentence.
I'm good at talking in person, but the talking to people on Discord thing, I'm still new to it. So I'm still kind of finding it difficult to not be convoluted in what I'm talking about. But what was I talking about before we went off on this tangent? So, molded sites, because that was the thing we were initially talking about before we ended up on this tangent. So, I had some stuff ready to talk about, but then I accidentally closed the window. Am I still live, by the way, on the live stream? Because it's
on
saying
Discord, you are.
It's saying on my YouTube thing that it's live.
It says stream ended 52 seconds ago, but also that it was 47 minutes ago. So I will double check.
Yeah, thank you, because it's being weird on my end. If I try to open anything, it just kills everything.
So your stream is in about 6 different pieces, the latest of which was 11 minutes ago. Have you stopped streaming on OBS?
Yeah.
Okay, what it's doing then is, because your internet was so sketchy, it's basically had it...
Oh, it's
and it's just dumping like a minute of like 20 seconds or whatever whenever it can.
Okay.
So it might compress it all into one stream at the end of it.
Yeah.
It probably won't.
Yeah.
But it's like a total of 6 minutes, so you're not too bad.
All right. Well, that's not the end of the world. I'm just going to turn my Steam into offline mode because it's not working. I need to figure out where I put a folder I had called published work. There it is, found it. So now that I have that, I can open that in the side window and then reference.
Doesn't let you know if my typing and such is too loud.
No, you're fine. Like, the whole idea I had was it's just like us chilling and just chatting about stuff.
I'm just doing some CAD work because I fidget otherwise, and I might as well be productive.
Yeah, you were working on a water tower. Did you make that in CAD and then 3D print it?
Yes. And I'm currently drawing... Well, I have most of my next one on my desk in front of me. I'm just getting all the next bits.
Yeah. So I'm just referencing an essay I previously wrote on rectangular molded sites. So rectangular molded sites appear between the late 1300s and early 1400s, but they remain in use into the 15th century. They would not have been considered castles by their contemporaries, but were rather out farms, which I mentioned, possibly defended homes of prosperous peasants, some of which of the same social class as craftsmen or freemen, if you want to use the Scandinavian definition. Well, I guess is England as well as uses freemen?
As far as I know.
Yeah, because I kind of wrote this in the kind of context that it could be understood in England as well, because I make references to England, which we didn't do in class at the time.
I mean, it's, make your work more useful for more people. Who's
Yeah.
going to complain?
Other possible roles of the site type will possibly be monastic granges or as hunting lodges. Oh, that's one of the things I forgot to mention. Yeah, hunting lodges. The surrounding farmsteads of these moated sites were worked by serfs known as velens, which as well as native Gaelic serfs, which were known as betas. Yeah, there's
You beaters are the people who go out and basically fuck around enough so that all the wildlife comes and runs at the people who are doing hunting.
that as well.
In so many words.
So moated sites occur in a number of forms such as square, circular, rectangular, or trapezoidal. Some even occur as dual moated sites with two moated areas, such as that at Thomastown. I'm not going to read all of those off. Although the rectangular moated sites are the most common type of moated site, but what determines their size and shape is unknown. Perhaps the geography of the landscape plays a part, or the wealth of the person building it. As for the time, oh yeah, there's a few of them that are unknown to have been found in frontier areas, which is basically its gap in the research. And that is by my former, that comment is made by my former director, supervisor. That's Kieran O'Connor. It would so moated sites are kind of like they're comparable with the Gaelic Rath or like Ringfort, which is actually it's actually a defended. It's actually it's the same but rectangular. A Rath or like a ring fort is not actually a fort; it's also a farm.
Because you don't need a fortress all the time, but what you do need all the time is somewhere to keep your pigs.
Yeah, or your cows in the Irish context, because we're mad for cows over here for some reason. I guess
Can't imagine why.
It's easier with the shitty landscape and stuff. And they usually have palisades surrounded by a moat, which is Terry Barry. Typically they are comprised of rectangular moated palisades. I've said that already, with a gatehouse and a drawbridge entrance. Within the defences, usually there is a farmhouse or a hall. The main building surrounded by a number of smaller buildings are byres, a corn drying kiln, fish ponds, pottery kilns, dovecots, sheep cots, hay grade,
farm stuff,
your farm things, haggards, paddocks and whatnot. Moving quickly on, sometimes there's also a tower associated, which is probably what you're talking about there with the guy in Game of Thrones who has one of these as a castle. The tower would have probably morphed into...
I say a castle, it's not a castle, it's called Craster's Keep, but it is literally it's a long house with,
well, what I'm getting at
some
is
outbuildings.
The tower can be called a keep, so that could be...
Yeah, it depends what kind of tower, I guess.
The moated sites are always found in rural areas.
What's his name? Shadiversity on them.
Yeah. Actually,
have you seen the Don John recently?
I haven't seen his new stuff. But I wanted to kind of do some talking about moated sites and then seeing if he was interested in jumping in on it. But I didn't bother contacting him when he wouldn't know who I am. So I thought it would just be really weird, like, to cold call him and be like, "Hey, do you want to jump in on this live stream about moated sites? And castles?"
I mean, you could ask him.
Yeah,
it's the wrong time of day though for him.
Well, yeah, he's on Australian time. But what I could do is probably link him to this or something, and then he can.
Yeah, I mean, if you do a stream on it, then or a video on it, then that's a useful thing to be like, "Hey,
I did this.
The thing.
You interested?"
So and then you can edit out all the bits where I'm just rambling about nothing and people jumping in to talk about the special needs person in the server.
Well, I'm just going to leave it as it is and not edit anything and just throw it up, because the whole point was that it's all kind of ad-libbed and it's kind of organic. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I kind of prefer those style of videos than the like heavily edited. Yeah, it's a better production quality, but some of it comes off as fake sometimes. So I prefer the kind of organic, just talking to a camera and going with the flow kind of stuff. So where did I leave off here? Modded sites are found in rural areas, particularly in arable land or pasture, usually between 3 to 8 kilometers from the nearest known nucleated center, which is basically town or village or whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you wouldn't need to be fortified if you're near the town, because you can just be like, hey, people in the town, help.
Yeah. They're constructed on top of earlier Gaelic inhabited sites such as Raths. So that's the thing as well, that I guess if an area is like conquered, that the local Irish Rath might have been replaced by one of these.
Love that.
In the United Kingdom, someone join us.
Yep, we are talking a lot about Irish medieval history.
Oh, cool.
Welcome. So yeah, what was I saying? Blah, blah, blah. So in the United Kingdom, motor sites are characterised as a type of manor residence, which possibly fell under the Forest Law Act. It is also suggested that the more small-scale moated sites are related to the clearance of woodland. So it's like, remember like in Age of Empires or something, you have like your kind of...
So I get what you mean. Well, your picture's very useful for that, because I'm guessing you'd starve a piece of woodland, because if you're making palisades, you need a lot of wood.
Yeah.
You starve a clearing in a forest, you then fortify the clearing, and then you keep making the clearing bigger.
Yeah.
As you clear land for farming, burning.
You can build farms then too.
Yeah, because you need wood. When wood is your primary thing for construction, living not in a forest is inconvenient.
Yeah.
I'm interrupting again.
No, you're not. You're grand. Because I'm getting to a point which I didn't want to just jump through straight away, because it would be really weird and random. So I'm slowly building up to it by reading my essay, because I've pre-done the work. I might as well use the work I'd pre-done. The only surviving contemporary document of an Irish moated site is from a number of provosts, meaning our administrators, for the manor of Old Ross, County Wexford. They detail the wages, construction cost for a palisade, and the excavation of a moat encompassing the haggard of Ballyconnor, an out farm on the Old Ross domain, as well as some of the events of note between 1282 and 1284. The roll tells us that the total cost of the project came to £31, 2 shillings, and what's D? Is that 4 things?
That's pennies.
Pennies? Yeah,
Yep.
3.5 pennies. 18 carpenters are also mentioned in relation to the work they carried out on the palisade, which came to a total cost of £10, 4 shillings, and 10.5 pennies. You're just like cutting the pennies in half or something.
Half a penny is a
No, I'm
even
aware.
smaller coin.
I'm just
All
making a
pennies
joke.
are big.
I'm making a joke because nowadays people wouldn't understand that.
Yeah, it's a good point.
The
I
old
forget that I
currency.
have like weird boomer knowledge.
Yeah, no, it's fine. But like, a lot of these are either the coins are manually cut smaller, or it's a different type of coin. Like in the I know the early medieval period, the coins are literally cut, which is how you get like the terms like pieces of 8.
Yep, because
Because-
you'd cut the coin into 8 pieces.
Yeah, originally, and then later they actually are individual coins, which is just confusing. That the terminology stays, but what's used is changed.
Yeah, the word stays the same, but
yeah.
the thing changes. So that's like the whole, the piece, the 9 pieces of 8.
Yeah. Yeah, that's actually really confusing.
Because if it was the whole a piece of 8, so it must be from the same coin, right? But there's 9 of them.
Yeah,
How does that work?
there's an extra bit of another coin in there. The roll
Aren't the pieces of 8 a silver coin as well? So it's quite a high
it could
value
be,
one. So I seem to remember the joke being that at the time of the founding of the Pirates Code, they were broke, so they just used random trash instead.
Yeah.
I'm getting off topic, but it might help people if they didn't.
This is the whole point of me doing it off the cuff, was that there's extra bit of knowledge throwing in about something random, and it makes it more organic, like an actual conversation you would have with people, rather than it be completely managed all the way down, and it just comes off as very kind of clinical, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
Part of my thing, like all of my thesis, is at the very beginning I specifically say that I'm going to be speaking in layman's terms as opposed to academic language, because I want anyone to be able to read and understand it, if you know what I mean. I have a specific style that's very non-academic, so that anyone can read it, because that's the thing I find really frustrating about academic work, is that reading it is, like, as someone who has done academic stuff, I can understand it, but someone like my mother, for example, has not gone to college and learned how to read academic stuff. So if you give her that, she might be able to figure it out, but it'll be difficult. So I want to speak in layman's terms so anyone can pick this up and read it. So I do that a lot, and that's kind of what I want to continue doing with my video content kind of thing. So picking up here, the role interestingly goes on to illustrate the need for such defences. So the palisade that I mentioned, when it mentions 2 oxen have been stolen from a nearby settlement, resulting in the remaining oxen being kept in the Ballycahar moated site. So basically the locals are stealing cows. So no surprise. Another recorded event is that of the Grange in Caherbrahan being attacked by Gaelic raiders who made off with their livestock. So more Irish stealing stuff.
Just Irish things.
Just everyday Ireland. Where does that sentence begin? I can just read this whole part rather than trying to figure out where that sentence starts. So today moated sites survive as rectangular earthworks in landscape. The first academic in Ireland to recognise them was historian Garage O'Horpen. Referred to them in his Ireland under the Normans, published in 1911, calling them rectangular platforms. There seems to be a number of there appears to be some difficulty with certain archaeologists checking for them under later farmsteads, or even recognising them in the landscape. That's a thing.
I'd imagine they're kind of subtle because it's a big flat piece of ground.
Yeah. For example, Palace Castle outside of Loughrea is constructed on top of a rectangular moated site. So today a visitor will only see the 15th century tower house surrounded by its bawn wall. Its name derives from the Gaelic Polosh, meaning palace, possibly referring to the Gaelic lords or chiefs hall that was once present there. Also above ground evidence of medieval rural buildings in general is sparse, in contrast to those found in more urban setting. Yeah, that's the thing with Irish. I know it exists with some in Britain with some of the medieval buildings, but it's probably more evident in Ireland with medieval, or especially high medieval structures are sitting on top of the ground. If you know what I mean, there's no foundation.
Yep.
So, like, it's literally sitting on the ground. So, like, you can pick it up and move it. If you know what I mean. So it's like, like a porta cabin kind of thing, where they're not going to leave a footprint on the ground. So it's really hard to identify them. There are like stone buildings and wooden buildings, but some earth buildings as well. But things like the buildings that are kind of movable, Like, they're not intended to be moved, but they can be, which is a bit of a problem with identifying them. I'm not going to go into distribution and numbers, because if people are more interested in this, they can continue looking into it. It's not difficult to find stuff on it. Talk about functions, maybe. Actually, let's back up a bit and do dating. So, only 8 moated sites have been excavated in Ireland to date. However, based on historical sources, they appear during the late 13th to early 14th century, some remaining in use in the 15th century, as I mentioned. O'Connor believes that these appear to be part of some of the secondary phase of the Norman settlement in Ireland. So the functions, interesting evidence suggested some of the moated sites in the United Kingdom, such as the Low Shiberon. Actually, I'm going to copy this and paste this word to you to see how you would pronounce this, because this is a word that would be used more so in England than here. So I'm just going to tag you in it. Oh, Ash is back. Hello.
Do you want to just DM it me?
Hello.
Yeah. I could just post it here. Just at Skog. How'd you pronounce that word?
Scrolling through degeneracy names. Chiburn.
Chiburn. Okay, so
That's I can guess.
so Low Chiburn, founded in 1313, belonged to the Order of St. John of Jerusalem, so the Knights Hospitaller. Likewise, the Hospitaller Presbytery in Kilmainham, the headquarters. In oh, you're all.
This was going to be a live stream, but it's currently just being recorded. So you're... Oh,
He's
you're
just
not coming in and like being autistic at us.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah, my internet is doing a thing again where it's dropping. So what was I saying? I was saying the Knights Hospital or Presbytery in Kilmainham, the headquarters in Ireland, started out as a monastic grange before it became like the headquarters. It consisted of an inner enclosure that was heavily defended, referred to as a castle, and the outer enclosure referred to as a manor close. The links to the Anglo-Normans, referring again to the manor of Old Ross account rolls mentioned above. The document describes the goings-on of the Anglo-Norman settlers' point of view and appears to be describing the individuals primarily of the freeman class, including craftsmen such as carpenters and diggers. There other examples from England appear to suggest that structures of this type also possibly be part of a secondary phase of settlement. In that they provide farmsteads the safety required to make use of the land while remaining within a few hours' journey of nearest nucleated centres, basically towns and villages. So links to the Irish. So here's what I was trying to get to.
I'll have to be our back, sorry.
No worries. So Cloonfree is possibly the best known example of a Gaelic-built moated site. O'Connor identifies it as a long fort or stronghold of Aid O'Connor, the king of Connacht at the time. There also appears to be an association between moated sites and Cronogues in Connacht, particularly in northern Connacht. So Cronogue is like a ring fort kind of thing, but in the water. So it's like a man-made island with a kind of some sort of defended fortification. Like when I say defended, I don't mean like giant palisade. I mean like a kind of a wattle wall around it to make it difficult to get into.
Yeah.
It's not a fort. It's more of a farm that's hard to get into. In 1306, Cloonfree Longfort was burned by the king's cousin, another Aid O'Connor. It was recorded that the act destroyed King Aid's O'Connor's Polosh and a number of Chiad houses, which means houses, within or outside the Long Fort. So yeah, that's kind of just a little bit about that. That's leads into the conclusion of the essay. I'm not going to go read now because then I'm reading an entire essay out, which is a bit ridiculous. But yeah, I thought that's a thing as well, as we're not entirely sure where long forts are, but this could be one of them. But yeah.
Mhm.
So there's lots of weird stuff going on over here.
Hmm.
So I'm trying to figure out who's joined us there, because you keep changing your names.
It's just me, Skog, and Boss.
Boss. Okay. How are you doing, boss?
I'm doing alright. Just hanging out listening.
Yeah, no worries. We started out talking about what was it? Stonehenge.
Stonehenge. How Mount Rushmore and Stonehenge are not the same thing.
Yeah. And then we
In
got
case anyone was not aware of this.
yeah. Then we got distracted and ended up talking about modded sites. I had a funny joke that I had intended to have on the stream, but at the beginning, and just not have it there, not address it, and just have it linger there for a while. But yeah, it's just a little archaeology joke that I found that I can probably post it in the general. Actually, I won't bother, because you're driving, so you can't look at it.
No.
I've just seen what you changed the stream background to.
Yeah. The a bit of a meme that I found that I thought was funny. But yeah.
Now I have a question for you
Mhm.
as an archaeologist.
Yeah.
I don't know a lot about archaeology, but I like architecture. And they
Mhm.
kind of go hand in hand a little bit. Like, so I know, especially like in modern society, like there are like old historical, buildings and stuff like that. And I know in some countries, especially like here in America, there could be like historical sites or like buildings and stuff like that. And rather than up, they will tear them down to build more modern structures and stuff like that. Like,
Mhm.
does that, as an archaeologist, bother you to see like that kind of history being destroyed
Mhm.
and replaced with, hideous like shopping malls and stuff like that? Like, I'm sure it's not as big of a thing like in your side of the world, but
Well, in Galway, there's like the town has a lot of the old medieval street plans surviving, and a lot of the old buildings are surviving, or at least the foundations are. And well, the town wall had survived up until I think it was 1820-ish, maybe. I could be completely wrong on that, but certainly, like in the recent past, so within the last 100 years, someone decided someone on the city council or something decided these are in the way and they make it hard to get traffic in and out the city. Let's just destroy them and build roads through where they once were, so they make it easier to move around.
Are any of them surviving, or is it all?
There is parts of the wall that survive. There is a section inside the shopping centre which is reconstructed, but
Because I know I've seen two of the city gates in Berlin, for example.
yeah.
Well, I've seen the wall. Well, the old wall, not the popular one, has obviously gone, but they've kept two of the gates.
Mm-hmm.
It's obviously the Brandenburg Gate's the
Yeah.
famous one. I think it's the Frankfurt Gate's the other one.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Frankfurt
I've heard
Gate,
of
by
those.
the way, is a hideous, like, communist rebuild. It is an eyesore. However,
Yeah.
it's still there.
Yeah.
But I know a lot of places have at least street names. Are still, something Gate,
Mm-hmm.
like as like Friars Gate, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's the history of it survives, just not the actual archaeology of it.
Yeah.
Because I know, I think Shrewsbury has some of the old town walls. Stafford has just a chunk of wall just in the middle of a roundabout.
Mm-hmm.
Stuff like that, where it's completely disconnected. It's, just meaningless, essentially. But it is there in
Yeah.
a lot of places. But yeah, pretty much everywhere's gone. Town walls, don't need them.
There's only one town in Ireland that still has its town wall intact, and that's Athenry, which is where I went to high school. So it, yeah, it's kind of sad that they survived for so long and then got knocked to within the recent past because they were in the way.
The Victorians.
But yeah, yeah.
Victorians who did so much stuff of, well, we clearly know better, so we're just going to make our own versions of things.
Actually,
Like, there's some... I know we saw some examples of that at the Royal Armouries in Leeds. We've got stuff in their historical collection that's been rebuilt by, like, enthusiastic Victorian collectors, and it just looks like utter crap, because it's been... you know, you've got, like, suits of armour that are just, like, 4 centuries old, with just bits that look nice together but have no historical bearing on each other. And stuff like that.
Actually, I visited
Or, like,
an armory recently
that didn't exist when the helmet was forged and stuff like that.
Yeah. I visited an armory recently at a castle that I shouldn't mention, where they had their nice collection of authentic medieval armor and weaponry and stuff, and then mixed in amongst it is all this Victorian, like in the films, there's like, in mostly American films, there's like the like knight in armor that just kind of stands in the corner.
Yep.
It's like the armor that would have been made for that, because it's like display armor, but it's like made like within like Victorian time or something, and it's mixed in with all the medieval stuff. And I didn't have the heart to tell them that it's not real, because the guy who gave the tour, someone asked him about a piece of armor, why is it shaped that way? Because it like the waist came in really tight, and then kind of flanges out again at the bottom around the hips. And I just looked at them on like afterwards, because they knew I knew the answer as soon as they asked it. Because I was there smirking. I didn't say it, because as soon as she asked the question, I was like, it's not real. No one's waist is that thin.
Yeah.
Like you would have to be like anorexic to fit in that armor. Yeah. But it's really buff.
It's the armor to go in the corner of your library to make you look posh.
Yeah. Like the waist was like really thin. Like it's like a foot wide by like upper chest being like something like 2 feet wide. So you'd be like really fucking... It's like a character that you would make for Ark or something with tiny legs.
So I think the only freestanding armour set I've seen that wasn't clearly supported is the Field of Cloth of Gold set. Field of the Cloth of Gold, rather, sorry. The unused set, which is just the in forged condition but not like... not polished at the time condition, so it's got all the hammer marks still.
Oh.
And that is just the complete Henry VIII, like, brick shithouse set. Because he was a chunky boy when he was that old.
Yeah.
As opposed to when he was older, when he was, oh lord, he coming.
Yeah. Because he was really fit.
That's the technical historical definition.
Like, he was really fit when he was young, and then he had an accident. I can't remember, was it a hunting accident? Where he came off the horse, and he landed funny, and he wasn't able to exercise then after that, and then he ended up becoming the big chungus that he was. That, and he had a lot of mental issues.
Thick boy.
Yeah, he was a thick boy.
I'd imagine all of like the tourneys of getting your head slowly caved in by people's blunted maces probably does that to you.
The maces that we saw at the armory were really pretty. A lot of the ones
I did like some of the like ornamental like officers ones that are never meant to be used for combat, because you got stuff like elegant silver inlaid basket hilted mace.
Yeah.
It's just like, why would you need a basket hilt on a mace? So it's a weapon used for like just anti-armor.
Yeah.
That little knucklebow's gonna do nothing.
I need to close this.
You would if you're using it for fencing, maybe.
Yeah.
But,
I was trying to find a meme there to share on the OBS and in the chat, but I realized that opening it will kill my internet connection, so I can't do that right now. But basically, I'll describe it to you so you can imagine in your mind. So you know the meme with the porn star on the couch? What's her name? The little blonde girl. And she's surrounded by like... oh, can you hear me? Hello? My internet's dead. Connect.
I feel this is
I'm back. My internet died and I didn't realise. So what I was saying was, I was trying to remember a meme I seen earlier today, and I was literally saying that, oh, I better stop looking for this because if I do, it'll kill my internet. So I was like, I'll just describe it to you. So you know that image of that porn star, the little one, sitting on the couch, surrounded by like, was it 5?
The 4 big dudes.
Yeah, the 4 big dudes. So it's literally that, except the big dudes are cropped out, and instead it's maces. And then over the little porn star, it just says "my wallet." So it's like, it was the guy that made it was like an armorer, so he's like selling these like 4 maces. I thought it was quite clever, but if I go looking for it, it'll probably kill my internet. So, but yeah. So I guess I should make reference to why I have a bar at the bottom of my screen that says Sid Meier's Civilization 5. I've been invited to take part in a Civilization 14 v14 game by Stu, and I was hoping to get donations from the audience on the stream, but the stream didn't work, but never mind. We'll work on that again.
You can still donate though.
You can
offline.
You can
Yes, the link for his Streamlabs down below.
You can still donate if you would like to throw something towards that. You don't have to, but it's there. I did have a bit of an issue because I thought it was 15 euros yesterday, and today the sale is not there anymore, so now it's 50.
Oof.
Oof.
So yeah. Also, the thing is
It
that
normally
dollars.
goes on sale.
Yeah, it'll probably go on sale again, but I have my progress bar up to $50 because I don't know how to change it to euros. But
I think you can just do that in the settings.
$50 is probably like what, €45. So it, like, I can make up the whatever's short anyway.
I don't know. Weren't euros the really ugly money the ladies showed us at the airport?
Yes.
You have ugly money, Cross.
Oh yeah.
But at least it's not Canadian money.
Monopoly money.
Oh, you're not wrong. It's terrible. It's not even worth the value what's printed on it. Like
Well, the currency isn't, but
like a £1 coin is just solid brass, isn't it?
it's generally an alloy, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, is it? It probably is an alloy now, but originally probably was like.
The thing is, it's the awkward thing of some of the currency is worth more than it cost the cost of material, but other currency is worth less. So things like pennies, I'm pretty sure cost more than a penny to make. However, things like pound coins and 50p's and 20p's cost less.
Are they?
They're pretty much chrome steel.
Well, it's like a lot of people collect. There used to be like the pure silver quarters, and people will keep those and then sell the quarters instead of using it as a quarter. So because it's pure silver.
Sell it for the silver because the silver's worth more.
Well, you can get like silver £5 coins occasionally, which are technically worth £5, but you can buy them for several hundred.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one of the things that bothers me about like euro coins and €2 coins, is that it's like the metal itself isn't worth that. It's like really cheap materials, and it's not even solid. It's like a it's like a little disc of, I think it's zinc or something, surrounded by the rest of the other metal, so that.
Oh yeah, you got the weird two-tone currency, haven't you?
Well, it's two-tone as well, but then inside
it's got,
is
like,
different.
brass and zinc or something, yeah.
Yeah.
Or like nickel.
But yeah, it's not really worth anything.
Oh, the thing is, the money itself doesn't have to be worth anything. It's what
Yeah.
the money
Symbolizes, yeah.
Yeah, it's like a £5 note isn't worth £5, but
Yeah.
it's the value of £5. Or as the Brexit 50p is apparently, soon to be a scourge upon the earth, and it's probably going to be worth a lot as all the Remainers try and destroy them. Apparently,
I firmly believe we should just go back to a bartering system. Like, I have this chicken, and I have this sofa for this chicken.
Yeah.
I'll give you this cow.
that'll be very inconvenient for long distance trade.
I think that comes from Augustine, as in the Saint Augustine. That comes from, I think it's, he wrote something where that comes from, where I have this like wooden spoon that I made, and if you want to purchase this wooden spoon, you need to offer me something of equivalent value to exchange for it. It's literally the equivalent exchange mod from Minecraft.
If that's the case, I feel really bad for some of like countries that still follow like the old dowry thing for getting like married, because like you're trading a human girl for a goat and 3 chickens. Like, I would feel very cheap if I was traded for a goat and 3 chickens, you know?
It'd have to be like a very specific type of goat that's worth a lot.
Yeah.
And
But countries still do that.
Yeah, do they?
Yeah, there are some countries that still require like a dowry. Like what's it called? Like, the groom has to give the family like something of value. Like, nowadays it's normally money, so you have to like buy your bride pretty much.
Mm-hmm. I know
But
there's
some,
a Eastern European country that does that still, and pity Richard isn't in the chat, so we can drag him in and ask him, because he might know.
I know Bulgaria still does it.
Yeah.
Because I've and like a few other still do it. Like, African countries still do.
Oh yeah, but I'm not surprised.
That kind of stuff.
But yeah, some countries still do that. I'm just looking at my timer on this. We've been going for about an hour and a half. We'll do 10 more minutes and round it off at an hour and a half, and then we'll leave it at that. So, does anyone have any questions for the last 10 minutes?
Not really.
No?
I kind of just interrupted at any point along the way when I had them.
Oh no, it was fine. It was fine. It kind of kept the conversation going.
I have a similar. I mean, as an archaeologist, do you work with language and stuff? Because I come from like a linguistics background.
I'm just turning up a little bit. Can you say that again?
Do you like work with language stuff at all? Do you work with like
as in
language, or
as in identifying old languages, or
I guess.
Well, you were talking about that earlier, so imagine to an extent at least.
Yeah,
I'm trying to remember what it was we were talking about now.
No, it's fine. I kind of do, in that I'm looking at like Irish and trying to communicate specific Irish terms in English that
Like
don't
Old
exist.
Irish, or
Like boher, for example, the first one that I mentioned. Like, boher is the Irish word for road or a path, and it literally means where the cow goes. So we kind of have like weird, like Native American style names for things that you have to try and translate into English that doesn't translate directly, if you know what I mean.
yeah, that's cool. That's cool
Yeah.
stuff.
Aren't archaeologists the ones that like have to translate like I can't say that word. Hieroglyphic.
Oh,
Can't
hieroglyphics.
say that. Yes, I can't say that word.
Hieroglyphics are just essentially like Egyptian emojis.
Well, I know that,
yeah.
but I'm saying, are archaeologists the ones that like translate you know, like the stuff written on like old stones and things like that.
They might be more likely to be a language specialist, but they also could do that. A lot of archaeologists can be interdisciplinary in that, like me, for instance, I work a lot with historical archaeology, so I'm doing a bit of historian work and archaeology work. I also do a lot of like what's called kind of I'm drawing a blank on what it's called, experimental archaeology, where I will manually make things to try and figure out how it was made and how it was used.
Using the whole like tools that were available, materials available,
Exactly.
sort of thing.
Oh, that's cool.
I could
Sort of, I guess, probably classified as done a bit of that with some of my like armor making.
Yeah, I could show you examples, but you're not able to see me right now, so I'll probably do that at a later stream. But as for the language question, aside from Irish, some of the stuff I'd be looking at might be in French, which is frustrating because I can't read French. I can understand the odd word, but I don't understand French too well, and I'm illiterate in French as well. I can read German or some Scandinavian stuff. I can read it, but I can't, like, kinda. I can't. I don't know exactly what they're saying. Irish, I can't read Irish very well at all, but I can understand if it's spoken to me, and I know a few words to. I have my Kúpla Focal to respond in.
That's pretty cool.
That is cool.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize. I mean, I guess everyone has like their own language, but I guess there wasn't like a, you know, like an Irish language because most Irish people just speak English.
Oh well, now
There is an Irish language.
there is an Irish language which originally would have been like, I think it's 4 or 5 versions of Irish, which just accumulated into one. And I was talking to Han, our Dutch friend. I was talking to him yesterday, or was it yesterday evening? You were having a conversation, and I popped on for like 10 minutes, and I mentioned how Irish origin, or especially Old Irish, sounds a lot like Dutch because it originates
Yeah, I do
from
remember you saying
Frisian,
that.
allegedly. But yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're kind of cutting out again. I'm trying to think, is there anything I've not mentioned that I could mention at this point?
No.
For the last 3 minutes, 2 minutes, even.
Not that I can think of.
Yeah, well, we
If
can.
anyone does
I
have
guess-
any questions,
I was going to say, I guess, what would be the topic for next time?
So the topic for next time, I have no idea. But as Ash was going to suggest, if anyone who's watching this and has gotten this far in the video, thank you for watching, I guess, first off. But if you wouldn't mind asking a question for what to discuss next time, and I guess I could try and do another video or stream next Tuesday. Same bat time, same bat channel.
yeah.
Yeah. There
Possibly even streamed.
possibly, but probably not, to be honest, because my internet is failed me. But we'll see. I'll try it.
You do always have the fallback option of getting someone else to stream it and just having sent them the pictures ahead of time as like a slideshow or something.
Oh, that's a good idea.
We just won't be able to see your face.
Yeah, that's okay. Well, I wasn't sure should I have the camera or not, but I thought it would have been a nice addition, if you know what I mean. But
It adds a human element.
yeah, again, that's kind of what I was all
I
about.
hear that's a good thing, apparently.
Yeah.
We could also confirm that we are having coffee.
Mhm.
We don't know if we're actually having coffee with an archaeologist.
Well, I'm having
He
tea.
could not be drinking coffee.
I'm not
See?
drinking tea.
He's not even drinking coffee. This whole video is a lie. You lied to people.
I was
That's it. Game over.
I was using coffee as a euphemism for like a lunch thing, because initially the idea was to do the stream at lunchtime, but then Ash suggested the afternoon slot one might be better, so I went with that because you know more
Afternoon
about
coffee.
this. Yeah,
What kind of tea are you drinking then?
peppermint and licorice.
That actually sounds really good.
It is really good. But yeah, we've hit an hour and 30 minutes, so we might leave it at that. Before we leave, would you like to plug anything before we leave?
Not really that's relevant for your channel, but I'll be running my D&D game hopefully tomorrow on my channel, which is just called Skog.
Yeah, I'll put a link. Ash?
I play video games on the weekends. It's generally a lot of swearing and just fun times.
Mhm.
That's just at Ash Plays. I'm currently playing Resident Evil 2.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
I might be present in the
Saturdays and
background
Sundays.
talking about random shit.
Yep.
And boss, is there anything you'd like to plug?
He doesn't stream.
No?
Don't know anything to plug.
Yep.
Joe Rogan.
Joe Rogan. Go watch Joe Rogan. Alright. Thank you for joining me, and thanks everyone for watching. I've been Cool Cross, and I guess see you next time.